your name?
My name is Mohammed Khairul Nazirin.
Mohammed.
Yeah, Khairul Nazirin.
Hey.
So a question in game design, right? So when it comes to game designing, gameplay-wise, is there like a certain design philosophy that you need to follow for it to be detrimental for the outcome?
That's a deep question.
I know these are very good questions. So thank you very much for asking me that. So did I get it correctly? So is there like a game design philosophy that I follow?
A code
Yes.
that you cannot break.
Okay. Yeah, so for me, what matters to me, I mean, there are obviously many design like principles that we have, but the main thing that I always tell my game designers is the game has to be easy to pick up and play. And in fact, there's a term that I use. It's in Filipino, but in English it roughly translates to it has to be idiot proof. So what that means is when you design anything, it's a new feature, it's UI, it's a whatever it is, right? I have to be able to pick up the phone and play it without you explaining it to me. And a lot of game designers fail at this because they're going to rely on tutorials. They're going to have like tons of text, right? Or when they go and like have someone test their games, like their family or their friends, they're right beside you. And so what they do is they want you to test the feature. And so they're like, no, don't press the other thing. No, come on. You know what I mean? So it's like they're relying on extra info when a really good game, whatever it is I can pick it up and I can play it and I'll figure it out, right? But you never need like extra information. And that's something like it has to be idiot proof, right? Like you have to be able to give it to a random person on the street and they'll be able to play it without you saying a word. And that's something that I've been drilling into our design team forever. So there are many, but like that's the first thing that comes to my mind.
So to echo Steve Jobs, you have to be intuitive.
Yeah, for
so
sure.
Luna, if you need a guinea pig, you know, for you know what the dumb cannot do, you should call me because if you can pass my test, you do very well.
I'll keep that in mind, Shaun.
Right. Okay, I've got a few questions on the chat room. Before I go to the chat room, does anyone have any question that you want to jump in? Can you come forward and ask question?
Yes, hello.
Hi, Shane. Shane, where are you from?
I'm from Brunei. I'm a visual effects student currently learning in Unreal Engine.
Awesome.
I have a question about, are you familiar with the term core loops?
Yes.
Yeah. So how do you actually introduce this core loop to a player and not have it feel repetitive?
Oh, this is a very good question. So for everybody else, so a core loop is basically the core game actions that a player repeats, like rinses and repeats, and that's your cycle. So it's usually action, reward, and upgrade, right? So like I do something, I win something, and then I use that win to get better at, and it's a loop, right? So core loops are by nature repetitive, right? Like they have to be repetitive, and that's actually almost the meditative quality of the game that you're doing. For example, if you're playing like a looter shooter, so like now I'm playing Borderlands 3, you know, shoot the enemy, pick up all the loot, right? And it's almost mindless, right? And it's repetition and it's fine. So the core loop itself, meaning the action itself of shooting the bad dude, has to be satisfying, right? So the core loop by itself has to be enjoyable because you're going to need to do it a million times over. And it's the same for mobile games. If you're farming, right? I'm planting this thing, I'm watching it grow, and I'm reaping it, and I'm selling it to the store, whatever, right? That's the core loop. It has to look fun. It has to feel fun. I have to earn enough to make my time and effort worth it. And if that loop is satisfying, then I'm going to want to repeat it, right? And then you have the whole progression where it gets harder and harder to do something, and it's slower and slower, whatever. But I think that's the key to making a good core loop is you remove all of the other meta stuff, right? You remove all the oh, there are daily logins and there are journals and there are all these whatever. And just the action, if the action is not good, you're gonna quit, right? You know what I mean? Yeah. Did I answer your question?
Yeah, definitely. There's another one that I have linked to it. So you said that the core loop has to be satisfying.
Mhm.
So you do that basically by progression, by having it look and feel good, where you have the player feel like they earned something. Um, how would you sort of balance the level of progression to when they're playing it? In other words, how do you give them a sense of progression as they're going through the game?
Uh, these are all very good questions. Shaun, what have you done? These are all like
Oh,
these
Yeah,
students are
I know what.
kicking my butt. Okay. So in terms of progression, so it depends on the genre, right? So for example, there are core games, especially like AAA console core games, where the progression is extremely difficult, right? So death is actually part of the core loop. Frustration is part of your core loop. In which case, um, you're like the gamer kind of knows going into it that this is just going to be a really frustrating game where I'm going to die a million times, and that's okay. So it also has to do with what kind of game experience do you want your player to have. So people use the word fun all the time, but actually a lot of games aren't fun, like Dark Souls and all that stuff. That's not fun for me, right? I saw someone be like Dark Souls, because it's about I'm gonna punish you over and over, and death and rebirth is part of it. So it's not fun, but it's satisfying because when you actually beat it, right, then all the hard work is directly correlated to the reward that you get. And so the progression has to depend on the genre and what you want the player to experience. In mobile games, for example, the progression is very, very skewed towards easy because we measure success in mobile games with what we call retention, which is we want players to come back after 1 day, after 7 days, after 30 days. So if your game is too hard, when I first install a game, a mobile game, and it's too hard, I quit and I install something else because it was free, right? There's no friction. I have 10 games installed. I'll just quit this one, this one, this one. And so mobile games they tend to be very, very easy in the first week, especially in the first day, tons of rewards, everything. And then after the first week, then things kind of plateau, like they slow down and plateau. For console games, it's different because for console games, I've already made the purchase, right? I've bought it. So the company has already earned the money that they wanted to get from you, in which case they can do anything they want. So now if they want the first day, your first experience to be extremely tough, they can do it because you quitting has no effect on them, right? So what a long answer. But anyway,
I have to interrupt you here because
sorry.
because this is getting into a very technical conversation.
Okay, sorry.
We have to. No. I mean, it's fun. I'm indulging into this conversation, but we have to bear in mind that we're here to talk about the career, and there are quite a few students. I think they have come forward waiting to ask questions.
Okay.
But Shane, well done. I love your question. I think you should conduct a separate webinar with Luna. That would be really fascinating. I'd like to be on the front seat of it.
Actually, contact me after. Like if there's anybody who wants to contact me, email me. So I have a website, lunajavier.com. There's a form. You just email me, and that's how we start emailing. Yeah, because I can talk about this forever. So sorry, Shaun, I'm stopping.
But well done, Shane. I really enjoy those questions, and it just gives me a totally different insight, so much deeper.